Hi, welcome to my channel. Today, on the 8th of November 2022, I would like to do a presentation on how contract to yield IPI index is used in analysis of landed properties. Let me begin. Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Thomasin PA2066. Today, 8th of November 2022. Contract to yield IPI index used in landed properties. So this is an analysis I have grouped the same project of West Hill Avenue, Kuching, and try to analyze the price per benefit. Usually in a landed project is less complicated than strata building so it's quite simple, straightforward. Let me begin. So it is actually a project of double-story terrace or single-story terrace property so in this scenario it's likely land size, number of rooms, probably car parks also the same. Each landed house is usually allocated 2 car park, likely bathroom and the amenities not much difference. Most of the double-story house would have one in the master bedroom and one shared bathroom upstairs, and ground floor usually 1 bathroom, so not much a variable. So let us see how the generated index would look like. Summary of the West Hill Avenue, Kuching is 7 landed houses which I put as listing, consisting of intermediate terrace and corner, and same developer. Of course, is a project launch. All pricing are based on developer pricing. Landed terrace single story and double story. Of course, the double story will cost more, single story would cost less. Some bigger size because they are corner, some intermediate standard sizes, probably similar size even, and the same state of condition. They are all new project houses. Various corner maybe facing a little bit different, but the pricing doesn't differ very much for the facing. So this is the summary, 7 listings. As you can see, the IPI again is listed from the smallest, from the top, 80.8 IPIS to the higher IPI 137.8. So the lower it comes, the higher the number. Denote the price or the cost per benefit is higher on below the chart, and then the higher up is smaller IPI. So you can see double story houses actually generated a lower IPI compared to the single story house, and the reason is double story they gives the higher benefit per unit cost because its build is more. The build of the body, the area of the space given by the build of the house is 1862, whereas the single story is 979. So if you use the pricing that you pay divide by the build, the bigger that you have the house, that means you get more benefit by having a shelter. So that is the reason why IPI shows a lower index compared to single story, for the purpose that you are getting a double story, double the size of the house. This is 900, let's say this is 1000. Definitely you are buying using $1, buying double the space of the stay of the shelter. So that is the interpretation of IPI. So of course you spend money if you have a 500,000 ringgit house compared to a double story, you would use the same amount of money to buy a double story. So let's say 500,000. This is a single story corner. This is a single story corner which is very near to 500,000, 495,000. If you use the same amount of money, you can buy an intermediate double story house which you cost in fact less than your corner single story house, and you are getting double the area of space used. So this is the scenario. Of course, some people they want to have bigger land size for fruit trees, for garden. That is another interpretation. But for the purpose of IPI tells us that you are buying at a price a better benefit by it depends again on interpretation by different requirement. So let us check what is the land size. Let's say we look at smaller land size, which is 178.5 square meter, compared to the bigger land size 328. These are corner, I see, terrace corner. So these are double story terrace corner house. So if you are paying for more expensive land, then of course you are buying more things, you see. So therefore your IPI index would be higher because you are paying more for the land. So IPI shows that the double story corner would cost more to buy than the intermediate house, because it doesn't translate to your shelter, because you are still staying in the built up area, you are not staying in the open air. So that is the interpretation of IPI, telling us that if a double story corner, the benefit that you get a corner is not the same as the benefit that you get in intermediate house. An intermediate house giving you the benefit of bathroom shelter is the same as a corner house, whereas the corner house gives you extra of a land for your orchard, for your garden. So that part you want to realize if you are not a person who plants trees or having a garden is not a priority, then by saving money you actually save 100,000 by buying an intermediate house, rather than buying a corner which is 590,000 versus 480,000, whereby your other aspect of benefits are the same. And if you look at the benefits for the single story as well, the land size, in fact the bigger land size single story corner houses actually cost much more because you are buying for the land. So it shows that the IPI on a corner house will be higher than the intermediate house. This is naturally so because you are buying land, and the land for you to eventually enjoy if you were to invest in your luxury or extension or renovation. Of course, these are individual choices which IPI denotes this significant potential. And if you, let's say, compare to the build which is the same size for all the double story house and the same size for all the single story house, the difference in per square feet, especially like looking at your benefit of using the space, this per square feet is actually much more expensive. It is actually a higher price. So you are buying at a higher price per square feet because you are limited to the same build. So this is, as I explained already, that IPI tends to inform a calculated amount of cost per square feet. So if you are buying more expensive space because you are paying for the extra vacant land, it shows, as in the case, higher IPI so per square feet, because your cost 590,000 divided by the same space compared to 480,000 divided by the 1,800, this would be cheaper than the bigger price tag for the extra vacant land, which is not calculated per square feet. So by using per square feet in this formula, actually I wanted to highlight the fact that we want to compare across different types of property. In fact, comparing strata property and landed property. So if you use landed property, you are not going to stay sleeping outside in the open air. So the space that you are occupying is the built up area. So comparing the same per square feet calculation, we would want to have congruence or in the similar setting compared to strata property, because strata property you do not have the open air. So this per square feet you can actually compare across different types of property, meaning landed property versus a strata residential strata property. So let's say you're buying a strata residential property at about 400,000 and 1,000 square feet, so which is 400 per square feet. Then you compare to your landed property, the available built up size for you to use. Landed property seems to show lower, so in Kuching seems to be lower. Of course, again, there are different products. So this is to allow us to understand that how much are you paying for a living space, in a nutshell, telling us how to choose and live within our means. So this is how IPI and build up analysis is to achieve for us. And lastly, comparing the single story, which is below, and the double story, which is above. The double story would have higher benefits like 4 rooms versus 3 rooms, 3 bathroom versus 2 bathroom, and definitely the double story benefits are better. Therefore, you are buying actually at a lower IPI. Single story for the same cost, almost 500,000, you are actually reaching 137 IPI compared to the 80.8 IPI for double story. So this is because the benefit of rooms and bath gives us this measurement. So let's say we go back to the earlier discussion about using this IPI in Johor for the strata building for subsale. It is also similar as in comparing the per square feet, the living space. As I explained earlier, you can refer to earlier video recordings on this aspect to highlight to you that total benefit of buying a property in fact is a consideration for a long-term investment. And at the same time also, I have done 2 other projects, which is Atera in Petaling Jaya and also Lumos in Kuching, to give you explanation and discussion about how IPI could help decision making. Let me conclude. We are talking about comparative index IPI using price per benefit as a measurement for a reaching of a decision, how to make a decision for a purchase. And it gives us the benefit differs from one listing to another listing, and it will amplify the benefits, as well as in this case we have seen just now, it shows us that the double story house would have a better benefit in IPI compared to a single story terrace house. It amplifies the differences and allows us to acknowledge that the value of what we are paying for these differences. Thank you very much. I'm Thomasin PA2066. This is my mobile number as in display. I have a few websites for use in the real estate agency practice, and contracttoyou.com is a website that I highlight to you now for comparative index. Thank you very much.